It was just an email. A simple, text-based message that arrived in the quiet hours of a Tuesday evening. To the exhausted employee staring at the screen, it looked like a direct order from the top, the CEO himself. Short, urgent, and direct. The request was clear. $5 million needed to be moved immediately for a confidential acquisition. No questions asked, no time for a second opinion. Within minutes, the authorization was clicked, the numbers were entered, and the transfer was initiated. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, $5 million vanished into the digital void. The money was gone. But was this a massive system failure, a breach of firewalls and encryption? Or was it something far more sophisticated? A perfect deception that exploited the one thing no software can fully protect: human psychology. The message didn't arrive by accident at 7:42 p.m. This was a calculated strike, timed for the exact moment when the office walls start to feel empty and the guard begins to drop. After office hours, the usual lines of communication are frayed. You can't just walk across the hall to verify a request. You can't catch the CFO in the break room for a quick check. In these twilight hours, verification becomes difficult, and the friction of the process feels like a personal failure. This is when urgency becomes the ultimate priority. The silence of the empty office amplifies the weight of the request. The attacker knows that in the absence of a crowd, a direct order from the boss carries a psychological weight that overrides every standard operating procedure in the handbook. In the modern corporate world, speed is often equated with competence. When an email appears to come from the CEO, the culture itself dictates the response. You don't delay. You don't second-guess the vision from the top floor. You execute. You respond with the efficiency that got you the job in the first place. You trust the name in the from field because the alternative, questioning the leader of the company, feels like a career-ending move. But in this digital age, that very trust, the glue that holds organizations together, becomes the ultimate vulnerability. The attacker isn't breaking into the server. They are breaking into the corporate culture of obedience and hierarchy. They aren't hacking a password. They are hacking the relationship between an employee and their leader. The email you see today is just the final stage of a long, invisible preparation. Weeks, sometimes months, before the first message is sent, the attacker is watching. They are scouring LinkedIn profiles, mapping out the company's organizational chart with surgical precision. They identify exactly who handles the wire transfers and who has the authority to bypass the usual hurdles. They look for the finance managers, the controllers, and the assistants who report directly to the CEO. They learn the language of the company, the names of recent projects, and the tone of the CEO's public communications. By the time they strike, they already know exactly who is most likely to act without delay, and exactly how to make the request feel like an extension of a conversation that's already happening. At first glance, the email address looks perfect. It has the right name, the right signature, even the right company logo. But the secret to the deception lies in one small, almost invisible change: a single letter altered in the domain name. A U replaced with a V, or company.com, becoming cornpenny.com. To the human eye, scanning quickly through a crowded inbox on a small mobile screen, the difference is non-existent. But in the world of digital infrastructure, that one character change builds an entirely different path. It's powerful enough to fake authority and bypass the mental filters we use to stay safe. It's a digital mask, worn with such confidence that the system, and the person behind it, doesn't even think to look closer. I need this done immediately. This is strictly confidential. These aren't just instructions, they are psychological triggers. Urgency is the enemy of critical thinking. When we are told a task is an emergency, our brain shifts from logical processing to reactive survival. We stop looking for errors and start looking for completion. Secrecy serves an even darker purpose. By labeling the request as confidential, the attacker removes the possibility of external verification. They trap the victim in a bubble where they cannot ask for a second opinion or consult a colleague. The pressure mounts, the clock ticks, and the fear of failing a high-stakes secret mission forces action that would never survive the light of day. This is the art of the social hack. Deeply ingrained in our social DNA is a bias toward authority. From a young age, we are taught to follow the instructions of those above us in the hierarchy. In a corporate setting, this instinct is reinforced every day. The CEO represents the ultimate authority, the person whose vision and decisions drive the entire machine. When a message appears to come from that source, our critical faculties often take a back seat to our desire to be helpful and compliant. We trust the source so implicitly that we fail to scrutinize the content of the message itself. This authority bias is the attacker's most reliable tool. They know that when the instructions come from the top floor, they are rarely, if ever, questioned, even if they contradict every rule in the book. Behind the clicking mouse and the typing keys is a powerful underlying fear. It's the fear of being the one who got it wrong. The fear of being the bottleneck that delayed a multi-million-dollar merger or a critical strategic move. In the employee's mind, the risk of questioning the CEO and being wrong feels far more dangerous than the risk of simply following the orders as they appear. This fear of delaying leadership, of appearing incompetent or uncooperative, becomes a force stronger than the need to verify the bank account details or the peculiar nature of the request. The attacker doesn't need to be smarter than you. They just need to be more threatening than your fear of consequences. Please don't mention this to anyone else yet. That one simple sentence is the final lock on the isolation trap. By making the victim feel like a trusted confidant in a secret project, the attacker ensures that no one else will see the email. No one will spot the suspicious domain name, and no one will question the strange wire instructions. This psychological isolation disables every internal control system the company has painstakingly built. All the two-factor authorizations and secondary approvals in the world are useless if the person with the power to bypass them is convinced that they are acting on a secret, top-priority mission. In that dark office, under the glow of the monitor, the victim is completely alone with the predator. The final confirmation is clicked. The transfer is initiated. In the world of high-speed global finance, $5 million moves with the speed of light. Across the digital infrastructure of the banking system, the request is processed, validated, and sent. There are no sirens, no flashing lights, and no red flags. To the bank's servers, this looks like any other legitimate, authorized corporate transaction. It has the right codes, the right signatures, and the right intent, as far as the system can tell. A green checkmark appears on the screen. Transaction successful. For a moment, the employee feels a sense of relief, even accomplishment. They have done their job. They have served the CEO. They have no idea they've just handed the keys to the castle to a ghost. The realization never happens in the dark. It happens in the harsh light of the following morning, in a routine meeting or a casual conversation. A brief mention of the acquisition project or a question about the urgent transfer is met with a blank stare from the real CEO. "I never sent that email," they say. In that single sentence, the entire world shifts. The relief of the night before turns into a cold, paralyzing dread. The silence in the conference room is deafening. In that moment, the employee realizes they weren't part of a secret mission. They were the unwitting accomplice in a multi-million-dollar heist. The gap between what they thought was true and the reality of the deception is where the nightmare begins. The moment the realization hits, the race begins. But it's a race the company has already lost. By the time the real CEO says no, the $5 million has already been moved across 3 continents and through a dozen shell companies. It's been split into smaller amounts, transferred to cryptocurrency exchanges, and laundered through accounts that disappear as quickly as they were created. The lines on the global financial map trace a path that leads into a digital fog. Despite the best efforts of forensic accountants and law enforcement, the money is moving faster than the paperwork. It's gone beyond recovery, vanishing into a network of global bank terminals where it is virtually impossible to track or claw back. Inside the company, the aftermath is a storm of chaos and recrimination. Investigative teams are assembled, external auditors are called in, and emergency board meetings are held behind closed doors. The air is thick with tension as investigators pore over server logs and email headers, looking for the technical failure that allowed this to happen. But as the audit reports come in, they all point to the same uncomfortable truth. The systems worked perfectly. The red stamps on the reports don't indicate a hardware failure. They indicate a failure of process and a breach of the human element. Blame begins to spread, and the fundamental question remains, how could a company with state-of-the-art security miss something so incredibly simple? This is the most important lesson for any organization. This wasn't a cyber attack in the traditional sense. There was no malware, no brute force password cracking, and no zero-day exploit of the software. This was a human attack. It was a heist that relied entirely on the exploitation of trust, authority, and urgency. The attackers didn't need to be master programmers, they needed to be master psychologists. They understood how we think, how we react under pressure, and how we defer to those in power. While the IT department spends millions protecting the hardware, the attackers are walking right through the front door of our minds. Trust was the bridge they used to bypass every firewall and encryption layer. This isn't an isolated incident. This is a global pattern, a relentless wave of deception that is sweeping through the corporate world every single day. From New York to Tokyo, from small startups to Fortune 500 giants, no one is immune. Billions of dollars are lost every year through these business email compromise scams. The headlines tell only a fraction of the story, as many companies choose to suffer in silence rather than admit they were tricked by a simple email. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry for criminal organizations, fueled by the fact that it is incredibly low risk and high reward. This isn't hacking, it's a new era of professional, corporate-grade deception that is hiding in plain sight. As you watch this, the next email is already being drafted. The attackers are already choosing their next target, studying their next victim, and timing their next strike. The next email might be in your inbox right now, or it could arrive tomorrow morning. It will look legitimate, it will sound urgent, and it will come from someone you trust. The next victim isn't a computer system. It could be anyone who values efficiency over verification. Stay alert, because in this digital landscape, the most dangerous threat doesn't wear a mask and it doesn't break your password. It wears your CEO's name and it asks for your help. The question isn't if you'll be targeted, but if you'll be the one who finally asks why. If this video opened your eyes, then it's time to help others see the truth as well. Like this video to help it reach more people, and share it with your colleagues and your team. It could be the one thing that prevents a multi-million-dollar mistake. Comment your thoughts below. Have you ever encountered a suspicious request? And most importantly, subscribe to Corporate Secrets to stay ahead of the game. Knowledge is your only real defense. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and we'll see you in the next investigation.